And today I have my friend Katie with us. And like, we're just nerding out here because we feel like, you know, when you're like little girls and you are like, let's make a play or let's make dance and you video yourself. I feel like that's basically what we're doing as grown-ups right now. So
it's like we're doing a talk show or something.
yes,
Yeah.
it's really fun. So, but our real mom life is like, my dog is going crazy in the room nearby, and we got pinball machines behind this. So
it's all hidden. So
yeah, we're just
magical.
We're just gonna do it our way. I'm so excited to have Katie here today. Let me tell you guys a little bit about her. She's amazing. Oh, wrong screen. Hold on. Let's see here. I'm gonna read her bio. And then we're gonna. This might not. All right, here we go. Katie and I know each other through our kids. Yes. Both of our sons became friends at school. She is a fellow mom hacker who is on a quest for balance, not just for herself, but to help other mamas with this as well, which I love. Katie is the owner of a digital media company, The Play District, an online resource to all things family. And we're going to talk a lot about that in a bit. Her goal with her company is to empower moms just like her to have a business, but not to sacrifice being home with their kids. Previous to her current business, she ran a handmade e-commerce business for 9 years, which I was also a fanatic customer of. She used to make the best dog collars. And awesome. So my Bernedoodle was outfitted for like every holiday and every season. So now I'm like, they're getting so dirty. I'm going to have to find a new
have a couple more left.
Just like me, she loves her beverages, her coffee, tea, wine, you name it. And she loves supporting her local businesses and do-it-yourself projects, which she is really good at. Teaching herself to sew, tiling her bathroom, you name it. This girl, she's amazing. She met her husband in Tucson, where they still live, and they have 2 boys, ages 8 and 5, and a golden retriever. Yay!
Classic American family.
But I mean, not so like cookie cutter in your life because of like you guys is the way you live and mompreneur life and all these things that you guys do, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
So now now reading that little bio, I now want you to tell people about yourself. Like if you're at a party and you're introducing yourself, tell us like where you're from. Tell us what your kids are into, how you met your husband, but most of all, tell us about you.
Oh gosh, that's a lot. It's a loaded question. So I'm originally from Scottsdale, Arizona. I came to Tucson for school. I actually originally was an architecture major because I really loved math and art. And I thought I could combine both and become an architecture major. And that was a big fail. So I did what any college student did when they didn't know what to do. And I decided to go into business. And then I decided that wasn't for me. And I actually went to a smaller college called Retailing and Consumer Sciences, which was a lot more of a niche down major and really gave me a chance to be more hands-on. So I did a lot of product design. I really loved visual merchandising. So that was kind of fun. So I've done that. I've worked in probably every industry you could think of. I've worked at Starbucks for a long time. I've worked in hospitality. I worked in spa. I worked retail. And then most recently I had an e-commerce business, which Brenna talked a little bit about, which has been my passion through, which was stemmed from my love for my dog. And then I had my kids and I still was trying to chug along. And then the pandemic happened and I made money off of making face masks for the pandemic, which was like kind of revived things. But then I quickly realized that I was spending so much time sewing and not enough time with my kid. There wasn't a balance in the business because I love the building of the business part, but the physical manual labor of putting together and sewing all these colors, I'm like, this isn't worth it. I'm missing out on so much of my kids' lives that it just wasn't worth it anymore. So
because you were making the collars, like doing all the marketing for them.
Yeah.
I remember when we got our rescue dog from the Humane Society, your collars were at the Humane Society at their little shop.
Yeah.
We went to Dogs and Donuts. They were there.
Yeah.
So it's like in these mompreneur pursuits, it's like all the time you spend marketing your business and those partnerships and collaborations that you do. And then you got to actually go and like do the grunt work of making the thing. It's a lot.
It was a lot.
And so it's like one of those things where you either have to like grow a team, but then have the revenue to support it.
Right.
Or be like, you know what, I'm choosing a different industry that
Right.
gives me a little bit more freedom of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happened was I tried to get a couple of things manufactured. And the handmade community like barked back. So, which I really understood. So I tried to outsource some of the busy work that I was noticing. And I'm like, hey, if I can make some money, you know, with different products that I don't actually have to sit and I've made every single little part of those products.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find more products that I could outsource, and the handmade community was not having it. So I'm like, okay, this isn't going to be very sustainable for me in my life. So then I actually, right before the pandemic, had the idea to open a play cafe, which is originally what the Play District was going to be. We were looking for spaces at like right when the pandemic hit. Thank God it didn't. I probably would be divorced, lost my house, all of the etc. A lot of people are in the same boat. We're in the same boat, like, you know, lost so much in their lives. And so I'm very thankful that didn't happen. But what I was thinking about when I was building the Play Cafe was, what is my intention with building a cafe? And as I wanted a place where moms could go, the kids could play. I wanted a place where we could support the community, where we could, you know, I could support other small businesses. So a lot of the stuff that we were going to do would be very collaborative, like, you know, pastries, coffee, you know, classes, all that stuff would be very collaborative. And I'm like, can I do this without actually sacrificing my entire life? And so then I kind of switched gears, and that's kind of the beginning of how I started the Play District. So
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't even realize all these obstacles is because we need to take this other way.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like, just follow the clues. That's the path.
Yeah.
On. Yeah. So your kids are 8 and 5.
Yes.
And you have 2 boys.
2 boys. It's a lot.
What boy mom?
Boy mom.
What are they into?
What are they into? My oldest is into, I mean, he likes Roblox and all of that junk. But he really likes explore. He's kind of become one of my favorite people to hang out with. He likes to go exploring with me. He likes to eat different foods with me. He likes to, you know, experience my rituals with me. So like we're going to talk about rituals a little bit, but he likes to, you know, be involved in the rituals. He's now, you know, I'm just trying to involve my kids in all the different things. My younger son is 5 and his name is Marshall, and he is very into Spider-Man and all things physical. He's like a little muscle man. So but he is just got a smile that brightens a room, and he is so sweet, and he's my little cuddle monkey, and I hope he stays that way forever.
Yeah. Aw. Yeah. They're adorable.
Yeah.
I love your kids. Okay. So, we know that you love your beverages just like me. I am such a nerd about it. Like
I am too.
Oh my gosh. I have.
You watch videos online and like see people make, but like, I love watching just people making coffee, and they like put this, I'm like, we need to buy all of these things.
Oh, I have like a frother. I try and make the little leaves and anyways, I don't do coffee, but I love tea.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of different teas, and I love discovering new teas.
Yeah.
It's like people who are really into craft beer, like that's me for tea.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, can I have a flight of tea?
Yeah. Oh, me too.
I
love
have
tea.
like my yerba mate to drive the kids to school.
Yeah.
Then I come home and I make my mud water tea. And then in the afternoon, I'll do usually an herbal tea. Right now, I like the seasonal kind of like festive ones. And then by evening time, I have like my chamomile or my sleep tea or whatever, all those ones that they have. So tell us about your beverages, and how it's actually like a ritual, like a mama ritual that grounds you throughout your day. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I like to start my day with coffee, you know, being from Starbucks is kind of ingrained in my body, and I just drink black coffee. And we actually have a coffee subscription because I was just getting so sick of having to go out and buy coffee all the time. So we actually have a coffee subscription service, Momhacker.
Yep.
And it's called Trade Coffee. Plug.
There we go.
And they send you it's like 12 ounces, not exactly a pound of coffee every week from a different micro roaster all over the country. So I get to kind of experience
like
different kinds of
coffee.
So like each week we're like, ooh, which one did we get? You know? So that's kind of exciting. So I usually drink like so I prep that the night before. I usually drink like 2 cups of that. And now that it's cold, it's like hot tea all day. And then I just use the tea bag until like it runs out. And then I move to the next one. I'm into chais, green teas. I like mint teas. And then I'm the same at night. And then as soon as the kids go to bed, we like flip the thing.
Yes,
and then
you were telling me about this, how your experience working at Starbucks. Was this like a college job or like in your 20s or like just younger years? And so it's just so funny how it's like these jobs that we have when we're younger, we don't realize just how much it's training us for life to like make ourselves better later. Like we're like, oh, it's just a job, but no, it like we get so much out of it that you don't even realize till later.
In like 5 minutes flat, no matter how
you have one
piled
of those
up
things
it
that
is.
Goes like a little.
No, I should. I've seen that. I watch videos. I'm like, we need to get that. It's another thing.
Yeah. But you were telling me before we started this about how it's like you think of your kitchen as like the close down shift and the opening shift. So tell us about that.
Well, I try to think of my whole house, but I focus on the kitchen because it's like the one that we use in the morning the most. So I talk about thinking of your kitchen or your house as like your place of work. And at night, you want to make sure you leave it nice for the opening shift, which is inevitably yourself, to be able to walk into a nice, clean, fresh space and get your day started off right. So it makes it a little bit better when I think about it like that I'm like, oh, okay. So I want to make sure I do the dishes tonight. So in the morning, I'm not unhappy with myself for not doing it. And then just kind of like, okay, you know, and this is kind of something I work out with my spouse. Like he does baths and showers and gets them ready for bed while I'll do the closing procedures because I'm way better at it than he is. So we kind of like take our strengths. So
he gets that time with the boys.
And then he gets that time with the boys.
Special time with them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and he loves that. So, you know, I go from, okay, I clean up the dishes from dinner and then I go make the coffee and then I clear the counter and then I get the boys' backpacks ready. So just like thinking of all those things that would make your mornings easier, I try to do the night before.
Yeah. I know when we throw a party at our house, we love to host. Many of you have been over here. And so we love hosting, but there's sometimes we're like at the end of it all and everybody leaves and I'm like, oh, everybody left and I'm all by myself and I'm cleaning up. And then I think to myself, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this for my future self. I'm going to appreciate this.
You
like
pick up the music and you're like, let's just clean.
And so it's like my little, like, don't feel resentment of whatever it is. Cause I'm actually doing it for myself.
Right.
And like my future self is going to be like, thank you. Thank you for doing that for me.
Another thing that's really helped me that I've talked about before is, not here, but on my personal page is, thinking about things in a process and things that will never be done. Because if you constantly think like this needs to be done. And for me, it gives me anxiety when there's a bunch of things that aren't done. There's a bunch of things that are a mess. Laundry is my favorite example of that. And if you think of laundry as being in a process all the time, like you're wearing clothes, you've got clothes in the laundry, like they're all part of the process. They're all going to be in different stages of the process. They're never all going to be done at once.
Yep.
So to kind of think about, oh, okay, so it's okay that I have clean laundry that needs to be folded. It's in the process. And it just kind of helps me take a deep breath and relax about all the overwhelming things that you need to do.
Yeah. Cause it's never like, even though I have my house manager doing our laundry, it's like Tuesday, she does half of the laundry and Thursday she does the other half. And even on Thursday, it's like, for how much time is it all done before
It's like when you get your house cleaned and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's perfect for like 2 seconds. And then your kids come home and wreck it all. And it's like, it's okay. Like,
so it's always just still in process, but but
constantly in the state of motion,
knowing that like, that's okay.
Yeah.
And that this is like, you can appreciate the parts that are done and the parts that are in the finished stage of the process.
Right.
Even if there's parts that aren't in the even beginning stages.
Exactly.
Like, just appreciate the parts that are. So I love that. That's a great way to think about it. All right. So, now I know you are big on balance. This is like something that you're always on a quest for balance. You go with the flow. You're very flexible person. And so like, I love just like the way you approach a lot of things. Tell me the ingredients to the recipe of you that you've learned to keep the most balance, or whenever you kind of get into the chaos, how you get back to it.
Oh gosh, it is. I mean, it's a constant struggle with the kids. I kind of take the approach of give a little and then take and give myself a little. So instead of being like, sorry, mom's got to work all day long, I kind of limit it, like, mom's working right now, but I'm going to set a timer, and in 10 minutes, we're going to play. And then I set a timer. Okay, we're going to play for 10 minutes, or we're going to do this one game for 10 minutes. And I kind of can like fill their cup so they're not feeling like I'm neglecting them. And then I can go back and do my work. I also, and I think I've heard you talk about this before, but I love when you're like, especially at the dinner table, because my kids will consistently ask me to get up and get them things. And I'm like, I am sitting down. It was totally you that said this, and I stole it from you. I'm going to sit down and I am not getting up again. And that was like the best thing ever. And they were like, mom's not getting up again. Like, you better ask her, you know? So, I mean, not that they're
It's like creating that boundary
Yeah.
where like, yeah, because I'm so big on that. I'll see, you know, family members, my mother-in-law, people where like they sit at the head of the table. And then here's the part where I'm going to talk with my hands and knock my microphone around.
I'm trying not to. I'm holding them.
And so, you know, she'll sit at the head of the table, and no matter what, every time we're over there, like, it's like the kids are like, slurp down their milk so fast. And she's like, oh, I'll get you some. Oh, I'll get you some. Oh, what do you need? Oh, what do you? And she keeps popping back up. And I'm like, no, you sit, you eat your food while it's hot. Like, in our house, that's the rule. So like, you're allowed to do that too, even though you're hosting us. Like, you're allowed to do that too. And I tell my kids, it's like everybody's served and all the food is hot. And I say, hey, does anybody need anything before I sit down? Because once I sit down, I'm going to eat my food while it's hot. Yeah. And I'm not going to get back up again until I'm done with my food and I'm clearing my dish. Right. So if you need something in the meantime, either you go get it yourself or you just wait until I'm done. Those are the two choices. Or you can get it for each other. That's fine with me. For yourself. Like, you can get up. You have legs. So, and so this is like, I like was just tired of the whole like pop up. And then I have to reheat my food and then reheat it a second time. Right. And then by the time you reheat it the third time, it doesn't even taste good. So then you're like, never mind, I'm just gonna have a protein shake. Like, and so then like this meal. Like, and then you're grumpy. And then you're like, I spent all this time like getting this ready. But I think like if you spend that time taking care of yourself, you're gonna be a better mother to your kids. Yeah. And I think like that's the perfect takeaway is like, it's not being selfish. You shouldn't feel guilty because you're going to be happier and like better for them. And we have so much, and it also just sets the example that when we sit down at the table, that nobody keeps popping up. Right. Because the thing that happens is like, if I keep popping up and fetching them things, and then my husband gets to ping about his business and he gets up to look at it. Right. And then my son is like, starts playing with toys and everybody just starts popping up and nobody's sitting anymore. Right. And then you're trying to tell the kids like, you're yelling at them from the kitchen while you're doing things. And you're like, sit down and eat, But it's like, well, I'm not sitting. So how can I tell them to sit? Like, right. And so it's, if we just have the rule that like mom's not getting up. Yeah. We're all going to sit here. Right. And let's visit with each other and tell each other about it. And like, let's just pause for a minute. Right. And so it's been so good. And I also just think about like their future selves. How is this going to serve them when they're grown ups? And I want them to be the type of parents who eat their food hot and take care of themselves and like give to themselves so that they can give to the rest of their family. So if I want them to be those type of parents when they're grown, I need to model that behavior right now. Yeah, absolutely. Like I cannot be the martyr and then expect them to somehow do it different later. Right. Like, yeah. So that is like a big boundary that I have in our house. We also we have like these little signs above all of our tables that say no phone zone. Yeah. And so now like we love to take pictures of cheese, especially if the kids help make food. Yeah. Oh yeah. So we do like photo only, but then after that, it's like, no looking at your phone for anything, not even to look up, like, what was that thing, right? Well, like, if one person starts doing it, they're all going to do it. Yes. And it's like, everybody has devices and you're not even looking at it. Yeah. And I'm like, why are we even sitting here? Why are we even having dinner? And I think like, and that's a big thing for me is like, if I'm taking the time to like do this, like I want them also to appreciate it and like, know, like, hey, we're providing this food for you. Like we're making it nice for you. And I find now that like when I do show them all the effort that I put into it or I get them involved. Yes. That's the biggest thing for me is like getting
the kids involved. They are so like making lunches. They eat their lunches so much more if they make their lunches.
Yep.
If they contribute to the dinner, they will eat so much
Yeah.
more of the dinner. I notice every single time.
Or even having them set the table. I remember when I was a kid, how it was like, you know, we would rotate whose job it was to set the table and then clear the table and wipe the table and And as a kid, you're just like chore. But then I see now the value as a mom where it's like, if I call them to the table and I'm like, okay, dinner's ready, come eat. It takes like 5 times to get them to come.
Yeah.
Whereas if I say, hey, can you come and put all the silverware out? And I am like, it doesn't even have to go in a certain spot. You get to put it where you think it makes the most sense. Right. And I'm not going to correct it. Right. Because like, who cares if the like spoon's on the top? Like they think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I am like, you said it the way you think it looks cool. Or like, one of the kids likes to have matching placemats and the other kid likes to have a different placemat for every single kid, every single person in the family. And it's like, Mom, that's where you're going because you like that placemat best. Anyways, it's just so cute. But it's like, but then everybody's there because they're excited they contributed. And that is a really, really key thing that you brought up. I love that so much. Yeah.
And I kind of like use that in my business too. And that's why I love my business so much because my kids are so involved in it. So it's like, Mom's working, but Mom's work is really cool. And I get to be involved in Mom's work and I have a part of it. And my kids are like, can we watch some of our videos? Like, what are we doing? Is this our event? You know, they get they're like invested in it. And I think, you know, and they see how hard I work and they know, you know, I'm like, okay, mom's got to do this stuff. You get to do the fun stuff, but like Mom's got to do this kind of stuff right now. And I know you probably have similar issues to me is like, I mean, we talk about boundaries, like our offices are in main living spaces. So my husband has a door. I do not. Your husband has a door. So both of our husbands work at home. So I definitely still struggle with, you know, being in a public space. And so that's why it's crunch when they're at school. I'm like, my husband wants to hang out. I'm like, no. You have a door. I don't have a door. This is my time to work. So
it is
setting that boundary.
Yeah. Cause when my husband's studio is right next to us, he's actually doing a big webinar presentation today. So he was like, are you guys going to be noisy? And I was like, no, it's just a conversation, but you know what? We're probably gonna be noisy.
Yeah. We'll get a little rowdy.
And so we'll pull out the little things like, right. And so, but yeah, so he has a door and the kids know when, and actually this is an exterior door to soundproof it even more because he does so much recording. And so so we have this like super soundproofed. So we'll be fine.
Yeah.
but the kids know when this white door is closed, that means you don't go in there. Dad's working. Well, on the other hand, I don't even have a door at all. This is like, I claimed the sunken living room in my house, which we had turned into a game room. Well, now I've claimed half of the game room because it has the best window in the house. Yeah. Like the view of the mountains. And so now I have half of this, but it's just like this sunken. And so it just opens right up here to the front door. Yeah. And so like for today, I had to put my dog in my bedroom so he won't bark at the Amazon man. While
my dog always wants to go out. Like when I'm on a Zoom meeting, she'll be like, I need to go to the bathroom right now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Right now?
Yeah. Like I've had to like let the other interviewee, like the other moms I'm interviewing, let them know like, oh, if my dog starts barking, I'm just going to mute myself and you just keep talking. You just keep going.
That happens.
That just means if you see mute on me, that just means that there's something chaotic happening over here. So, you know, real life. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's so interesting, like the dynamic, but I actually have really come to enjoy seeing not only my kids like peek over here and see me working on stuff, because then they come over and they're learning about it. And this is going to serve them in their entrepreneurial journey. And then even also like my hired help in my house. So yesterday I'm recording and both my house manager and my personal chef are over here in the kitchen and I can hear them like whispering and trying to be really quiet while I'm recording. Yeah. But I just love, like, after I got off of that interview, they got to listen in and hear, and they know that they're serving me in this way so that
you could do this.
I can do this and help other moms. And so it's like my house manager will hear me talking about how amazing she is. Yeah. And she gets to hear that.
That's
and,
so
like,
cute. I love that.
It's the cutest. And so it's just so cool. So they get to just see what this overarching mission is, what this purpose is, what we're all contributing towards. So I love that. And the same with the kids. It's like they get to be involved. And so I try and let them take as many pictures and videos as possible. Like that's the easiest thing they can do. Yeah. So for any of the mompreneurs out there, I do get asked this a lot. I went to a conference, a women's entrepreneurial conference, and there's a lot of mompreneurs there. And the number one thing that they would ask is like, how do you not feel so guilty when you are doing your work, and then your kids are there and you're trying to go back and forth and back and forth, you know? And so, and it's like, we don't have these like clock in at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. and clock out at 5 p.m. hours.
Yeah.
Like we have our drop off in the morning. And then for everybody who's a homeschool parent out there too, like they're doing homeschool along with it.
Oh,
and so
bless you if you homeschool.
and chances are they're
Yeah.
incorporating the entrepreneurial lessons into their homeschooling.
For sure,
That's
yeah.
like all part of it. And so it's like you have drop off, and by the time it's like, even if the school is 15 minutes away, it is not just 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. It's like this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get back and you get settled and you make your drink and like get into your rhythm and sit down to actually work. And then before you know it, it's like time to go pick them up all over again. And I know you're a lot like me, where it's like, once they're back home, it's like, you want to spend time with them. You don't want to have to keep, like getting pulled away to all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And so it's like fitting it in. I have a friend who like teaches moms how to become a CEO between drop off and pick up. I love that tagline.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah. And so it's like having that balance where you do spend the time with the kids. And I absolutely love what you said a bit ago about the timer.
Yeah.
I wonder, maybe I've learned that from you, because that's something that I've learned to do also, where it's like, I heard it from somebody, like maybe you, a podcast somewhere.
Yeah.
My clock going off. And so
I'm like, oh, it's Christmassy time.
I put the Christmas music on my clock.
Love it.
It's the prettiest clock ever.
Yeah.
My husband gave it to me last year. So I okay,
we're trying to timer.
Squirrel distracted.
Timer thing. I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
it's been 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that the idea that like when the kids, so yesterday the kids they got out a game, they were playing Trouble on the carpet. And they were like, mom, can you play with this? Can you play with this? And I said, yes. And I was updating all my stories because I was behind on like, I'd taken the pictures to put in my stories.
Yeah.
But I hadn't actually put them in there with the captions and tagging people. I went to an event.
Takes forever.
And so it just takes a little time. But I had told myself, okay, I told the kids, like, when we get home, while you guys are working on your homework, I need to do some posts. And then as soon as we're both done, then we can do some other stuff.
Right.
And so they finished their stuff way before I did. And so they wanted to play Trouble. And I was like, yes, I do want to play with you. And so I'm like sitting in the chair, like on my tiny computer, which is my phone.
Right.
And that's the other thing is, it's like, we run our businesses from this tiny little thing.
Right.
And so like, I think it's hard because people see that and they just are like, are you scrolling? Are you just piddling around on there?
Right. And
or
it's like working.
Or it's
I
like
get that all the time. You're always on your phone, like, but I'm working.
But it's a tiny computer.
It's a different.
Like I was just saying this week, I'm like, thank you, Steve Jobs, for making it possible for moms like me to like be able to still partake in activities and do this. And
right.
while no, I'm not as present as I would like to be when I have that, but it also is allowing me to have this dream, this business, while also doing cool adventures with my kids. I can do both.
You can. Yeah.
And so I absolutely do not judge any mom or anything if they're like on their phone or taking pictures or taking video, documenting like the influencer life, right?
Yeah.
Like the mom influencer life.
I get a lot of flack for that kind of stuff because, you know, when I'm out, I have to document a lot of things, like the things that we do, like my kids and my kids are great about drawing the line and they're like, Mom, I don't want to be documented. I just want to enjoy the moment. And like, when my kids say that, I go, okay, we need to stop. Like this is impeding on the fun. So,
and it's a boundary they express that you listen to.
Yeah. And that I listen to because, you know, I need to respect that, especially them being on social media. Like if they're going to be on social media or if we're doing these kind of experiences and I need to document, I mean, I'm very clear, like we're working, we have to get these kind of shots and then we're done. And then you can experience it. My favorite thing to do is be like, hey, we already documented this place. Let's go back. And then you can have all the fun and I don't have to take any pictures or do anything because we already captured it. I mean, it's great because, you know, I think it's really important to remember the memories and take those pictures because I don't remember my childhood. If it wasn't for the pictures and it wasn't for my dad taking videos, I wouldn't have remembered all those like amazing moments when I was like 6 or younger, you know? And now I have like that visual representation. We have so much more of that now, but I think it's important to like take the picture and then put your phone down.
Yes.
And I think like, you know, not just constantly, oh, that happened. And it's like, capture the moment and then put it down. And I think that's something I'm constantly working on. And I think it's also important, like, you know, if your phone is always in your hand when you're walking around places, like put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, like, and if you need to get it out, but like, don't have it always in your hand. You know, it's like, you're going to miss the moment through your eyes and you're only going to see stuff through the camera. So you have to think about that like selfishly too, is like, I want to be a part of this moment. Like,
Yeah.
I need to, is it more important that I capture it with my phone, or is it more important that I experience it myself? So
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. There was a mom, like a big influencer that had just posted on Instagram where she was getting a bunch of flack for this. And she was saying, honestly, after my second kid was born, those infant days, like it was such a blur that the way that I could be present was after the kids went to bed at night and I went back and looked through all the things I documented.
All that
and
stuff.
I was like, oh my gosh, I totally do that when we're on vacation. Because like when we're on vacation, we're trying to fit in so many fun adventures and doing all, you know, try this restaurant, try this food, a lot more than we usually do at home. And so I'm documenting all of that just because I'm like, my future self wants to remember this.
Right.
And then if I post it fine. But if I don't, I have it for myself. And then we have it as for the kids, we have it like our TV will cycle through our photos. Cute. So it's like slideshow.
Yeah.
And so they love it because they get to see their little kid selves going camping and all these things that we do. And so it's for us, it's for them. Yeah. It's so great. And so whenever I hear people criticizing moms for, you know, taking too many videos and too many pictures and being too influencer, and it's like, you know what, like, you don't know what that mom is going through. She might be totally just in survival mode. Like life is a blur right now. And her future self is going to be so glad that she documented that. And her kids are going to be so glad.
Yeah.
I know for me, I just do like as soon as we step into a place or as soon as the food arrives, right? Like my husband rolls his eyes and he always makes cross-eyed pictures.
I always say the camera needs to eat first. Hold on.
Yeah, I love that. But it's like, okay, to arrive, like, okay, or I'll even say before you have a full mouth, or go for it if you want a full mouth in the picture. But I just snap the quick selfie. And I know that a lot of people struggle with posting those pictures where you have like the weirdest jaw ever or whatever, right? Yeah. I do not care about it. So I feel like, you know what, I'm just gonna post this because maybe it'll give everybody else permission. But I'm like, you know, let's take the quick little thing to document that we did date night. And because for me, I'm like, I love seeing all the date nights we went on. Yeah. I love looking back in my camera roll or in my
kind of sometimes like your own personal like photo album memory maker. I love like in Facebook, like I just looked today and it said like me and my husband went on, like we went to go see the new Hunger Games movie and then went out on a date. And I was like, this is obviously pre-kids. And I was like, oh, we used to do that.
Aw,
you know,
but it's so cool. Cause then it takes you back to it and you get to like feel that like fun feeling all over again. And so if you hadn't have taken that picture because you were worried about whoever's going to judge you for taking the picture. Yes. And I will even get where like, so now that I'm doing my reels and even video in my stories, I do the thing where like, as I'm like going somewhere, I like, and I know with your business, this is something that you do because you feature a lot of places. Yeah. And so it's like the shot where you're like walking through the doors and panning around and doing this stuff. And oh my gosh, I for sure get a lot of eye rolls. And so I'm like, I just do it. I'm like, this is my job. Sorry. So I get paid to do this. So you feel like don't worry all you want. I'm like, don't worry. 5 years from now, everyone's going to be doing this. Like, like it's weird now, but from like 5 years from now, the grandmas are also going to be doing it. So it's fine.
But I think also like as moms, you know, we don't get as much videos of ourselves. Yes. And to think about that, like if you're just playing with your kids, just put a tripod in the corner and just have a video.
Time lapse is my new favorite thing.
But just have that video. So I be like, oh, I wish I had. I mean, I regret like not having enough videos of me and the babies, like when they were babies, like videos of me just like snuggling. I mean, I have pictures, but I like wish I had more videos.
The videos are awesome because you hear little sounds.
Yeah. I mean, I have a ton of the kids, but I'm like, there's not a lot of like our interactions together. Yeah. And I wish like, so if you have young kids out there, like take videos of like, just set it up, just prop it up. And
even
take
if
videos
you feel like there's no way I ever want to look at this again, you will.
Because
you will
your husband will never take videos of you.
Your kid, when they're 10, is going to want to see the video of what it was like to be a baby in your arms. Like they will want to see that. Yeah. And so also like, it's so funny. Like I remember in college, there was pictures. I used to be a lot more self-conscious about pictures. Like now I just don't care. And so
I'm like, I think it's the age where we're just like, I don't care.
Yeah. I remember hearing Jennifer Aniston say something one time about like how freeing it was when you get to your 40s, you just stop caring. Yeah. And I was in my 30s at the time. And I was like, wow, I can't wait to be in my 40s so I could stop caring. And I was like, wait, why do I have to wait?
Right.
I'm deciding that now.
No.
So yeah, but I was like, there's like this picture that I saw of myself and I was like, I remember when that picture was taken that I did not feel comfortable.
Right.
And I look at that picture now and I was like, that is a really good picture of me. And so I think to myself now, like the pictures I'm taking right now, it's like, we can always be like, oh, I don't like the way I look. I don't like this. Why?
Right.
It's like,
I look so tired and it's like, but look how cute my kid is cuddling me. You know, like
10 years from now, yourself is going to be like, wow, that's a really good picture of me. You're going to love that picture.
Yeah.
And, or if it still is like the goofiest picture in the whole world, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that was so fun. I'm so glad I took that picture.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. And so I started, like really getting better at posting content. I did a challenge, a 30-day challenge as part of a coaching group that I was in where, it was, you know, to post something every single day.
Yeah.
And,
that's so hard.
It
is like very
and
like,
I took it like to like, I'm actually going to make a reel every day. That's what I told myself. Cause I was like, well, I can post a quote.
Right.
But no, I wanted to make a reel every day, a video that has something of value to share. Right.
Right.
And in my brain, I was like, I want to start creating more than I consume because I love self-development books. I love podcasts. I love learning, but it gets to a point where you're just like taking in so much. And what are you doing with that? Like, so I would have a conversation with somebody who was like-minded and it would be like,
right.
And so I realized, no, I need to like give this distilled information that I'm taking in all this, like distill it out for others.
Right.
Yeah. And so the biggest benefit of that month was like, I just documenting my days and how I spend it with my family.
It actually doesn't take that much time. Like,
no,
I mean,
they were like power wheelsing around my neighborhood.
Yeah, no, you just like, and
it was
just have to pick it up and take a video, and it just to take 2 minutes of your time.
Like you said, it's like you tell yourself, I'm doing this, boom, done, put it away.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of that time, you're like laughing and joking around and you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And so it is like creating those kind of clear boundaries with yourself.
And I think like helping, you know, like what you did is like you photo dumped, which like, you know, a lot is hard to like catch up.
Yeah.
But I think like I don't post anything in the moment also. And that's kind of that's also a safety thing. I just don't want people to know where I am at.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind. I would never post where I'm at when I'm out there, unless it's like a public event that I'm hosting and I need to post it.
Yeah, but like if we're at a hotel.
But if we're at a hotel, I wait till I get home
the
to
next
post
week.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So but it also, I'm not sitting there uploading stories as I'm in the moment. Like I'm not putting a post up in the moment. Like if you do that, like you're going to miss out on so much. And you can say that for later. It doesn't have to be immediate, you know. They don't need to know exactly when it happened. So I do struggle with that too, because, you know, a lot of times I go to openings of things and I want to be the first to drop it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm not the first to drop it, it's fine. But like, I should experience this with my, like, I'm going to miss out on experiencing the kids to be the first to drop it. Like, what is more important here? Like, realistically.
I went to a conference where they said, here, everybody, like, we're going to take 5 minutes. Everybody put those posts on now. And then that way, the rest of the time, like, but they did it so that everybody could find each other and focus and network while they were there by seeing all the posts, which was so smart. And then, but also where it's like, okay, let's not make this the focus of the event. We're just going to be posting the whole time because everybody in there is influencers or whatever, you know, they're all online businesses. And so they're like, okay, get out of your system right now. Kind of like the Taylor Swift, right? Where she's like, okay, we're all going to put away our phones now.
I love that.
But it gives a space for people to still accomplish the goal, but then move on to the next thing. And I think that's so cool. And so, these are all things. It's like, we don't need to fight it. We can learn how to incorporate it into what we're doing and be balanced with it. Totally. For sure. I love that so much.
Yeah.
But setting the timers. Yeah. That's something I have absolutely like.
And they don't have to be like specific
I'll tell the
timers,
kids.
but it'll be just like, I'm going to finish this. Like it could be task. It doesn't have to be like a time thing. When this task is done, I'm like, hey, I just have to finish writing this email, or I just have to finish, you know, posting this.
I'll to another chair. Sometimes I'll tell the kids, hey, I'm going to go sit in this rocking chair. And then as soon as I'm done, then I'll come back. But if you see me in the rocking chair, that means I'm still working on it.
And I think doing that for not just working, but just like self-care time, like quiet time. Like I mean, I'm very like, after the kids go to bed, like that's my time. So but sometimes the kids don't go to bed until late, and then my time is cut short, and they pop back up and wake me up. And I'm like, Yeah. So, just making sure like I try to do it throughout the day because I'm a very like if I get touched out, like I can get touched out very easily. And if there's too many people asking me for things and I'm trying to juggle work, I'm like, okay, you guys, I need 5 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer.
Yes.
5 minutes. I'm just gonna go and I'm just gonna do like, especially in the morning. Mornings they're crazy. And I'm like, I just need 5 minutes. You guys are going to eat your breakfast and you're not going to talk to me for 5 minutes. Like not in an insulting way, but in a way where it's like, you need to understand, like, I need my time right now. And then afterwards I will help you with that, whatever you need or play with you or whatnot.
Yeah. The shower, like my bathroom doesn't have a door.
Yeah.
It's like, it just kind of like connects.
Right.
And so there's like a little water closet where the toilet is, it closes, but not where the shower is.
Yeah.
And so the kids know, like when they wake up in the morning, they can come in and say, hi, mom.
Yeah.
But that's it. Then
or my kids would be like, can I come take a shower?
Yeah.
Like, come on. This is I can't even take a shower.
My dog will like lay on the mat in front of the door. So it's like the barrier is like,
I'm like, I just want to take a shower by myself right now. So
yeah. So that's like one of the
boundaries. Yeah.
And the bathroom, if I go into my little water closet and I close the door and it's a little sliding door. So for some reason, that's not a real door.
Yeah. They're like, don't see it. It's a real door.
They do the little like crack. Just one thing, mom. And I will repeat this phrase. And I've made content about this too, where it's like, I'll say, I'll be out in a few minutes. Yeah. And they'll be like, yeah, but I just have one question. I'll be out in a few minutes. Yeah. Like, mom, okay, can I have this out of the pantry? I'll be out in a few minutes. Yeah, right. Even if it's like the easiest answer. Yeah. And if I just answer them, they would go away. Yeah. I will still not answer it. Right. Because if I answer it that time, then they're going to come back again bothering you. And so I just keep repeating over and over again. I will be out in a few minutes. Yeah. I think setting those boundaries. And I think, this can work for stay-at-home moms that don't even have a job. Like, I think you need that sanity more than anybody. Yeah. You have to separate yourself in certain parts of the day. You really do. And those little pockets and those little windows is where it's at. Yeah. There's not some grand spa day that's going to just fill your cup. And like, it's in these little tiny pieces. That's the problem is like people talk about self-care and they're like, what is self-care? And self-care is like, oh, it's going to get your hair down, going to get your nails. Like my husband's like, he doesn't quite understand. He's like, do you want to go get your nails done? Like, what do you want? He's understanding it more now. He's like, do you need 20 minutes? And I'm like, that would be amazing. Yes. Do you want to sleep in on Saturday? I'll get up with the kids. Yes. Oh my gosh. I would take that over nails every day. Oh, me too. It's my favorite. They were like, what do you want for Mother's Day? I'm like, to sleep. That would be fantastic. I always say I want to go kayaking or paddleboarding. Oh, that's good. I'm going to leave and not be here. Yeah, I know. People, I'm like, don't feel selfish about wanting to not be with your kids on Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Yeah, I know. Sense of actually hanging out with your kids. So on Mother's Day, I'm going to go do me day. Yeah. I'm like, it's Mother's Day every day. Thank you. Yes, it is. Every day we have breakfast in my bed, even if I don't expect it. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah. So creating those little boundaries, I think that's so key. So now, like, I know in your, speaking of boundaries, you're an adventurous family like we are. You guys, the whole reason you have Play District is because you love taking your kids out to these fun places and doing cool things with them. And so we'll talk about Play District in a little bit, but to even be able to fit all those adventures in, we have to have the time and energy for it. And it's easy as moms to be overscheduled and overschedule our kids and have no room left for the things that we really want to do with all of our families. And it's like for us, like eating together at least 2 or 3 nights a week, like I'm not gonna do it every single night. We got a lot of stuff going on and it's fine with me if we don't do it every night, but it's not realistic 3 nights, I want to sit down and eat together. Well, if I schedule every single night of the week and that doesn't happen, then I'm like, well, I'm not meeting my own family vision. And so something's got to give. And so what is it that you say no to so that you can say yes to the adventures with your family and yes to your own purpose? Yeah. So I mean, we are adventurous. We like to be at home too. So we like to make sure that, because if we go on the weekends, I mean, that's when we can get out and do stuff. The kids are tired during the week. I don't like to overwhelm them. So on the weekends, we're kind of picky. So we only choose one big thing we'll do each day. And that's just not to overwhelm anybody. Occasionally we'll do, maybe a birthday party and another outing or something. But we definitely prioritize like the relaxing time of the weekend and trying to balance that. And
I mean, when we talk about the play district, I have, when we work, I actually have a team of 10 other moms that help create that. And I did that because I knew I'm one family and I can't be everywhere at the same time. So that definitely helps. So there's a lot of things I'm like, man, I really want to go. But then I ask my kids, I say, do you want to go to this? And they say no. And I'm not going to force them. I'm also not going to force them to go do anything that they don't want to do. And I probably can find someone who actually really wants to go. So definitely thinking about, the weekends is also priority to being family time. So anything that's, separates us isn't a priority. So if we're invited to birthday parties, we usually prioritize ones that the whole family is invited to, or at least both kids are invited to. So they could actually spend time together, because during the week we're just kind of separated and we kind of come together at night. But the weekends we just kind of try to keep the focus on being with family and, just whatever is going to fill our cup, whatever, we want to do that we decide as a family, and saying no to the things that we don't really want to do.
Yeah. And birthday parties is such a big one for moms, because especially when you have kids of varying ages and they all get invited to all these different parties. And so one kid has one on Saturday at 1:00 and the other one's at Saturday at 2:30 at this other completely different place. And then they're just all over the place. And so I got to the point, everybody knows I love a celebration. I love parties.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
But I also know, and I love hanging out with the other parents at those, but I learned it's not worth it to be scurrying around town on a Saturday, going to 3 or 4 different parties all in one day.
Right.
And so we had to make the rule, pick one. If they're all on the same day, you pick one. And sometimes it's not even the friend that they're the closest with. Maybe it's the place that is like an interesting place that they want to go check out, or they know that like there's gonna be a lot more kids at that one, whereas this other one's only like 3 small. Anyway, so they will pick based on what their priorities are, and I let the kids pick. And so and it's like, let your friend know like that you still want to celebrate them, and we can figure out a different way to celebrate them.
Exactly.
Going all around town.
The birthday parties to me are just,
which I know, like throwing them. I like tell parents, like, hey, I want to make this as easy as possible for you. So
I do
if
too.
you want to come early,
I don't send you home with crap either. Like,
I always send the goodie bags we make. I always put snacks in there, because what do they do the whole time they're here? They don't ever eat the really good food. They just eat.
They're just playing. Yeah,
and eating out of candy, right?
Yeah.
And so then I'll put like goldfish, applesauce in the goodie bag, because then what do? Is like the kids can eat that on the way home. Yeah. And at least have some good snacks. Yeah. So that's what I do. I'm like, this is
I like home bag. Spending the money on the experience of like the actual party instead of like all the other stuff. Cause and as long as the kids have a good time, it doesn't really matter. So. Yeah. But I try and make it where it's like, hey, bring your whole family, bring your dog. Yeah. But I think like, even if they get invited, I always ask my kids, like, is this person one of your close friends? Like, would it be terrible if we missed it? Like, would you be upset if we missed it?
Yeah.
And usually they're like, no, it's no big deal. So I think, in for me, it's hard because we do a lot of, adventuring on the weekends. And it's like, if there's a birthday party, it's like, well, what would you rather do? I know what I would rather do, but, I want them to have an opinion in it, because if they really rather go to a birthday party, let's go to the birthday party, but definitely trying to balance all those different things. And especially right now, like during holiday time and like you can't do it all.
No.
You just can't. And you just
gotta say no. And you gotta, and it's like, you figure out your formula too. Like I used to be the like FOMO person. I love, I'm such the extrovert. I know. I love going to everything.
Trying to get over that.
But at the same time, it's like, I run myself ragged and I really just get exhausted. Like it fills my cup to be around all these people, but I also am like, the in between getting there is the part that really drains me, and I don't need that. And so it's just learning how to say like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for thinking of me. Like it's just being able to like graciously decline. Yeah. And say, I'm so glad you thought of me. Yeah. If I didn't already have all these other things going on, I would absolutely be there. Well, and let's do lunch instead. Yeah.
I get a lot of, I feel bad because I get invited to like a lot of networking things in town, and, a lot of times they're during the week, and I'm like, I can't.
When you get your stuff done.
And that's when I get my stuff done. And that's, like my kids. And anytime I do that, my kids' routine gets kind of messed up. So I try to be okay, I'm going to go to 2 networking things this week or this month, would probably be the top amount that I'm doing. So like right now, when there's like holiday parties or something, thinking about, which ones are going to fill my cup the most, which things are going to be the most worth it to me, to go and not feel guilty for not going to everything.
Yeah, for sure. My husband, funny story time. My husband he's good at this stuff. He's not as extroverted as me. He's, I guess, like an extroverted introvert.
Yeah. I feel like I'm an extroverted introvert too.
The older I get, the more I really value my alone time.
Yeah.
And my solitude, and just slowing down. But he's so funny because there was like a time where everybody we knew was having babies at all the baby showers. And it's like the co-ed baby showers, the barbecues and stuff like that, which is so fun. It's cool to like be able to celebrate all of it. But for guys, it is still a baby shower and it's still a very feminine event.
Yeah.
And so even though it's like co-ed barbecue, it still is just like very womanhood, right?
Yeah.
And my husband would just tap out on this. And so he like one time declared, I will only do one baby shower a year. So if you want me to come to one of them, you better choose wisely.
That's smart. Yeah.
So that the year that we had Griffin, then we're like throwing a baby shower, or like a friend was throwing a baby shower for us. And
he's like, that's the one.
And he had already gone to a friend's baby shower. No. And I was like, because it was like Griffin was born in January. So then it's like by the end of the year, right? Like it's like your insurance deductible. He already met his deductible, his baby.
Like, I'm good.
So I was like, so are you not going to come to our baby shower because you already met your quota this year?
I bet. Did he not go?
He went,
but
but it was a good joke. Like it was just funny. And so, actually he forgot about that rule. We just went to a baby shower and I was like, well, I guess you met your quota now.
You brought it up again. You could have gotten a couple more out of it.
I know. I'm like, I'm starting to reach this quota. Actually, we're kind of that age now where like, we don't know a lot of people that are having brand new babies.
Yeah.
Well, now actually I'm starting to meet a lot more of them through the Kick-Ass Modern Mom community. It's actually really fun to see all the new moms
I love that.
and just like relive kind of what they're going through. And so, but so there's not as many baby showers that I go to anymore. But I am like very choosy now which ones I go to, because I'm like, I really want to go and celebrate that mom, and maybe the baby shower is not the way I do it. Like, I'd rather just take her out to brunch.
That's how
and
I
have
feel
a conversation
sometimes.
with her,
Like, and I think it's a lot more meaningful when you do like a one-on-one thing with people sometimes. So if I'm ever not able to make
questions that they need to know to be a mom, right?
Yeah.
Like, tell me.
But I think like, don't feel guilty for not going to everything.
Exactly.
And, and prioritize what you want to do. And don't be afraid to say no. Yeah.
For sure. Such good advice.
Yeah.
So wise. Okay. So mompreneur life. I don't think we talked about this yet. Your kids are the same age as mine. We didn't talk about this yet. So your kids are right in that sweet spot of like, they're in school, they're like elementary school age, but they still need a lot from you when they are home. It's not like the teenagers where they're like doing their own things, but they're not the little babies that need like everything worked around a nap schedule. So you're in this like elementary school age. So owning your own business, you were telling me before how it's like this business, you really wanted to shape it where it would complement your mom life and not have it be pulling away from that.
Yeah.
So, I want you to share with us about like, from the time you drop them off to the time you pick them up, how do you schedule your business? You talked about not wanting to do the networking parties because that pulls you away from all these things that are
if it was
your business
in the middle
goals.
of the day, I would be like, let's go. Like, I'm like, why can't we do networking in the middle of the day? I mean, I know people have
more no to those too, because like stuff like
more
this,
conventional jobs. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, cool. Well, I'm not going to make it to that, but let's go get coffee during the day when I have that opening.
I have so many. Oh my gosh. There's like 3 events that were this week during the middle of the week. And I was like, okay, if I go to all of those,
I'm not going.
I can't do these interviews.
Like, no.
And I can't do my coaching, and I can't do all these other. So I even like cut those off during the middle of the day too, where I'm like, only certain ones and only so many a month. Yeah, for sure. So tell me, do you use time blocking or batching your tasks, and how have you learned to optimize that time so you can crank out all your online goodness in those short, sweet hours?
Yeah. So I use Calendly to like, if anybody wants to schedule, like that is my schedule and I don't budge. And it's kind of like, I get home so my kids, we live 5 minutes from our school and they're both at the same school. Thank the Lordy today. Which is so nice. I mean, it just saves me so much time that they're all at the same school. But I drop them off and then I usually won't schedule anything like right away.
Right.
So I make
buffer
sure
time.
So I have a buffer time and that's for like emergencies, or not emergencies, whatever an emergency is, or
transition.
Yeah, just like a transition.
Yeah.
I like to come home. I like to, fill my coffee up again. I like to set up my desk. I like to sit down and then just kind of like make a list of like all the things I need to accomplish in the day. A lot of stuff. And then I make sure to schedule time that, if I want to work out, or I play tennis with my husband on Fridays. So I make sure I don't schedule anything before 11. Like, the beauty of being an entrepreneur is you can make your work around your life and not vice versa. So you shouldn't be changing anything that's going on in your life to fit your work schedule. You should be fitting your work schedule to fit your life. And I think so thinking about like, hey, sorry, I can't go to networking events from 5 to 8 because I put my kids to bed every night. Like, it's just not going to happen. And like, I understand that. Now you understand that. So if we want to connect, we got to connect during my working hours. And these are when my working hours are. So setting those boundaries of like, this is when I'm working and I'm trying to get better at this. My husband gets mad at me all the time. He's like, you're not like, you shouldn't be talking on the phone until like 5 or 6 at night. And I'm like, well, sometimes I get really into it and we just like keep going, but just setting those boundaries. And I think like having a calendar app, like if you want to make an appointment with me or you want to meet with me, these are the hours that you can find me.
And there's something key in that too, for everybody who does not use a calendar app. For somebody who's like managing it all through text and email.
Oh, you're going to forget everything.
Oh my gosh, you got to go. You're either going to forget it all or you're going to start offering up times that are your sacred times that you don't really want to be using. So you have to use the calendar. I use the one that's inherent in Go High Level. It's part of the software that I use all my other stuff on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's made such a difference because I just set the parameters where it's like from 9 to 2 is like the only time. And then within that, if I already know that there's like other activities happening, then I block them out.
Yeah.
And so if somebody goes in there, they're not going to be able to grab a time spot that isn't going to work for me because it's not even available.
Right.
And I don't have to keep texting back and forth trying to figure it out either.
Well, and I think like knowing, like I have a newsletter that goes out on every Wednesday. So I know like Tuesday is like
newsletter prep day.
Newsletter prep day. So I know I need to block out maybe some extra time that I can prep all that stuff. So thinking about, what tasks you have and do I need to block off my calendar so no one books anything? Do I need to make sure that I have an allotted time to accomplish that so I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. before my kids wake up and try to finish that project before if I don't have enough time. So just trying to, and this is something I'm constantly working at, trying to get better at. And I think it's, it's a constant struggle. And I think that's, being an entrepreneur is like setting those kind of boundaries because we love what we do and we want to constantly be working, but it's like, you need to set those boundaries or you're not going to have a good balance in your life.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. And I'll even like now, as soon as I know when the kids' holidays are or their honor roll assemblies or my daughter's orchestra, concert, it's during the day. And so I just block out the whole day.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even going to block out just the time of the concert because it's like, okay, well then if my husband's probably taking off time to go look at it, watch it too, then maybe we want to go get lunch together afterwards. Right. Or then maybe while I'm out and about, then I'm like going to use that time to go finally fit those errands in, my car full of Target returns.
To like have an hour break, like an hour in your day where someone can book something. It's like they can find another time.
Gosh, then it just hangs over your head. Right. Because it's like, if you have a Tuesday and you're going to have to be at your kid's school for this time, and then you're going to pick them up at this other time, but then somebody grabs up this spot that then that's hanging over your head all morning and you can't even appreciate your concert.
I usually do? I usually call them and reschedule and that looks bad on me. Like I literally do that all the time. And I'm like, and
just block it out.
Yeah. And I'm like, if you just block out I've started doing that too. If I have something in the middle of the day that I don't know how long it's going to take.
Days at school, kids have days. So it's like right before they're off for Christmas break, they have like 1 or 2 half days. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to block those out also.
Yeah.
And the same with like Christmas break. So anybody who's scheduling these interviews right now, they look at my calendar and they're like, well, there's only these 3 things in the whole month available. Well, that's because I'm not going to be doing these during the Christmas break.
Right.
Even if it's possible, I don't want to have that hanging over my head where I can't go do fun adventures with my kids. And so for me, I'm like, it'll wait till January. I'll interview those people in January because like, even though I could probably find something to occupy the kids, or I could get a sitter to come over and hang out with them, I don't want that. I want to spend the time with them.
For sure.
And so this business is not for everybody else and just for it's like, I want it to be for me and for my kids.
Yeah.
And my wins are their wins, but also the sacrifices are on both sides. And so I want it to be this existence where I'm living my ideal life. I'm living that optimized state where I get to do cool things with my kids and get to serve moms in this way. And so for me, that's all about, you got to block out that time. Scheduled downtime is another big one. Like you're talking about where you do the tennis with your husband. It's like, that would go in my scheduled downtime category. And so I usually put every Friday, I have a block of time that is my scheduled downtime, because I know the weekend we're busy also. Like, we are going panning for gold on Saturday. That
is so fun. Where?
In Arivaca, like with these old miner guys.
Oh my god.
It's with the Scouts program. How fun is that? Right.
How cool is that?
And so, which again, we got invited to another event that same day. And I'm like, well, no brainer. We're going to go panning for gold.
Heck
like,
I would choose
we
that
can go to this. We can go.
I always choose that over.
Oh my gosh. You always choose panning for gold.
I always choose panning for gold. I always choose adventuring over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the things you wouldn't normally get to do.
Yeah.
That trumps any. Yeah. Here's the part where I'm like, now we're going to yank the wires apart. Yeah. That always trumps. Like, it's like, if I have this opportunity to do something that I would not normally be doing, being just like, if I go to a restaurant, what's the weird thing I'm never going to cook? That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. It's so funny because we're trying to like plan out our trips for next year. And, you know, we want to do so many things, but we were thinking about like, we have fall break in October. And I'm like, you know, this year we went to Disneyland, which we're big Disney people, and we loved it. And we never been and now we want to, and then they said, well, we want to go for Christmas next year. I'm like, okay. So then where are we going to go for October break? And I'm like, why don't we just stay here and we could just take the car and like go find cool places. We did it one year and it was so much fun, but it wasn't like this set vacation where we like had the flights. Like we were just like, let's go to, you know, Tucson today. And we just like got in the car and we went. Yeah. Like little road trips, little exploratory like places, just even in your town.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun. So like thinking about, you know, not these big grand plans, but maybe just like
tourist in your own city type of stuff.
The more stuff, like the impromptu, like fun adventures, like the kids love that stuff so much more than like anything. If
and
we're
sometimes it's like, don't even tell them where you're going, right? You give them the clues.
It's so much fun when they're like, and they just like, even if there's an open field where they can run, like they're so happy with just the simplest things. They don't need a lot.
Yeah.
So that's kind of hard in my business is like, I show these like crazy things, but kids don't need, you know, these big grand vacation. They need the experiences. They want to do things with you.
Yes.
And have those memories with you. And I tell, you know, any grandparents that are listening, like, you know, spend time and create those memories with your kids. And, you know, that's what they're going to remember. That's what I remember from my grandparents.
Learning how to cook from them.
Yeah.
Learning how to bake.
It doesn't have to be like, oh, they took me on this thing and it cost $100. They don't remember, you don't remember those kind of things. So,
yeah. So like, teaching them how to sew a button on, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of stuff that I love it when my kids learn that from grandparents, because they remember that and they are like, I learned this from my grandma. Yeah. Like do that. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
It really is. I love, so we're going to talk about the Play District next, but I love sources like this, resources, because when I travel, I will look up this kind of stuff. And what I do is I have it as like, just kind of like the idea springboard.
Yeah.
And so I don't like to overschedule us on our trips and you guys will see all my highlights and I'm showing all the cool things we do, but we do also schedule downtime. We have a rule that if we're on like a 10-day long trip, every third day is a do nothing day.
So important.
You got to have scheduled downtime. And so maybe there's not the pictures like of that. I try to actually document that more and share more about that. So it kind of influences everybody else to do that. But I will take these resources that give you all the cool ideas of things to do in a certain place. And I use that as just the idea spring off board. And I'll discuss them with my kids and be like, hey, so we could go to the aquarium, or we could go to this trampoline place, or we could just go to this park and jump in leaves and like everybody gets to
usually
vote.
We'll vote on that, which is so
And we
funny.
vote. And then we also know that it's like sometimes, you know, we're like, okay, we're going to eat at this restaurant first and then go to the park next door. Well, sometimes we're eating at that restaurant and then something catches our eye, like the bookstore next door or whatever. And we go to that instead. And we let go of this idea of the other thing we were going to do. And that's fine. And so I think it's good for us as parents to be like, we don't need a set itinerary that we have to stick to entertain them. We can just be curious and go with the flow. And then also like letting the kids have their input. That I've learned that's really important, because I like my middle child, he loves all the engineering kind of places, right? And the aquariums.
Mine too,
Whereas like my daughter loves all the foodie places. She's such a little foodie.
Cute.
And the treat shops and stuff like that. And so she is like, okay, we've gone to a million zoos and aquariums now. Like she likes them, but not as much as these other kind of things. And so I will even get to the point where it's like, okay, we're here for 4 days. You pick today, you pick tomorrow. I pick the next day. And we like break it all up. I think
like everybody, like, what's the one thing you want to do? Like, that's what I do a lot. And we do that at Disneyland and stuff. We're like, what's the one ride you want to go on? Or like, where's the one place you want to eat? Like, we will
unanimous decision.
But like pick the thing that is most important to you and we'll make sure to prioritize that we will go there. So like, you know, if we're, you know, we go to San Diego a lot and we say, okay, what do you want to do on this trip? Like, is there anything that you want to make a priority? Sometimes it's like, we want to go explore we want to go find new playgrounds. I go, great. We'll go find new playgrounds. Or like, I really love this. Like my kid loves the fish market in San Diego. He's like, I want to go to the fish market in San Diego. And I was like, cool, we will prioritize and make sure that we do that. But like, you get one priority, you know, and then we make sure that we accomplish that. And I think then everything else is kind of like filler and it's like whatever. And that happens to us all the time. We'll go one place and they're like, oh, there's a park right next to it. And then they'll go play at the park right next to it. So it happens all the time and you have to
find
be
yourself
flexible.
with free time. Like maybe you're meeting up with somebody that lives there, or even if you're in your own city and you have something, but then it ends up not happening, right? Like you get to the event and you're like, oh, I mixed up the dates. This is not happening today. That happens to me a lot. Me too. I get so eager that I swear it's this weekend. And you get there, you're like, well, sorry, kids. Mom messed up, because moms do that. Moms make mistakes too. And so then we can just go in our list of all, we do this for summer a lot, where we're like, what's all the things that's on the wish list for summer? And so then we just go to our list and we say, okay, well, what are the other things? And you know what? We're already downtown. What were some of the things that we had on the list that are already in this area? Let's just pick something off the list. And so that's what I love. And so like, everybody sees like just what an adventure mom I am and all the and they're like, how do you plan all that? How do you fit it all in? Like,
you do so much stuff with the kids, but I really don't feel like I do. Like, I know that sounds kind of silly, but I don't feel like we're just like, we need to go do things. Like, I really don't. I'm like, we like to be home. Like we like to, you know, I don't push a lot of stuff on their kids. They're like, oh, you're doing so much. But like, they're also seeing it through a lens of like,
that's the piece
all
you're
seeing is us doing stuff.
Yeah.
Of course it looks like we're always doing stuff.
TJ family night.
You have it so together. I'm like, yeah, because you don't see me in the morning yelling at the kids to get in the car to go to school.
The mundane.
So you don't see everything. So like, I mean, don't get discouraged. You're like, oh, I'm a bad mom, I don't go and do all these things. It's like, yeah, I'm right there with you. Like we probably do a little bit more than most, I would have to say, because it's kind of part of my job. But I think, you know, the perception of like what we actually do on a daily basis.
It's like, I do a lot of crazy adventures with my kids because I am the biggest kid in the world.
Yeah.
And most of these things, it's like, I want to do them.
Yeah, no, that's how
so I'm not trying to be like, I got to make sure my kids have the best experience ever. I'm like, I want to go feed those little rainbow lorikeets. Like, so we're going to go there because mom is obsessed with rainbow lorikeets.
Oh, see, I'm obsessed with otters. So I'm determined to go swim with otters at some point. I'm waiting so my kids are old enough so they can experience it with me. So we're not just like going watch mom. So swim
really
with otters.
Sharp teeth.
Oh, don't tell me that. They're adorable. We're going to float.
Are adorable.
Cute.
Have you seen the ones at the zoo though? When they yawn, they're like,
I know. Oh yeah.
It's like barracuda.
But they have like really cool experience. I have them all listed. So if like we're ever in the area, I'm like, we're going to go swim with
like the ostrich ranch. I had wanted to go there forever because
you pass it so many times.
I passed it so many times. And I'm like, that seems like something that Brenda would like.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's all go.
Well, it's a lot of stuff. Like I find the things to do and they're like, wow, mom, this is really awesome. Like, I know, because I wanted to go.
Yeah, it's because it's fun for us too. And so that's where I feel like for other moms, I like to emphasize whenever other moms are like, oh my gosh, you do so much with your kids, I should really do more, because they feel like they should do it for their kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, do you
want to do
that? Like, do you want rainbow lorikeets hopping all over your head and pooping on you?
Right.
Like I like it, but not everybody does. And so if you don't, then don't
do it. Like I don't like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of trampoline parks. That's just me personally. Like I've gone on them, but I'm like in my late 30s, I'm going to hurt myself. Like I'm like, or pee myself. So I'm like,
you jump and you're like,
yeah. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is different than when I was a kid. So
yeah.
So, but I do like
it's the exhausting things. I feel like, like I'm like always moving. I'm like a hummingbird all day.
It just doesn't fill my cup.
Yeah. That's the part
for me.
That's the,
but I know it's important. I mean, I will sit there and I will work while they jump.
Yes.
A lot of times.
Like that's a good one that you're like, sweet, I can answer emails.
Yeah, exactly. I bring my laptop and they jump and I can see them and they're fine. Like they're at that age.
Instead of being like, no, we're not going at all because mom doesn't want to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Where it's
so,
like,
but I try to find things that I want to do.
Yes. Same.
Yeah.
Anything outdoors, plants, animals, that's my jam. So yeah, the trampoline parks doesn't really check those boxes for me.
Or like the big, you know, like tourist attraction things. I mean, we do go. They're not my favorite, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like why I started the Play District, because I wanted to find the places that
the hidden gems,
the really cool places to bring your kids that aren't on TripAdvisor, that aren't, you know, that the locals only know about, you know, I found.
And not even all the locals know about.
And not all the locals know about too.
Like I just learned about Agua Caliente Park last year.
Oh my gosh. And it's beautiful.
It's beautiful oasis in the middle of the desert.
Like 3 hours just like looking at
the old farm, and the old ranch house that's there, and it has all the old furniture and
it's
books
free. And
oh my
gosh. I mean, we just covered that because
80 types of dragonflies there.
Yeah. I wish I could spend more time there. We were there for like a couple hours, and that was like one of those impromptu things because we were driving to a market at 49ers.
Yeah.
Country
over in
Club.
that area. Yeah.
And I was like, that's Agua Caliente. I haven't been there for years. Like I haven't been there with my kid. I don't even think I might have brought my kids when they were like babies. And then I was just with my youngest and I was like, do you want to go on an event? I say, let's go on an adventure. Yes. And he's like, yeah. And so we went and we were there for like 2 hours. And it was so much fun.
See all the burned trees?
Yeah, I know. That was sad. I mean,
it's nature though.
It's a small area. Yeah, it was a lightning strike, right?
Yeah, it was lightning that started it. And so,
but I think like those kind of things are the most fun to me.
Yes. The spontaneous, the like, let's just be curious together.
And I'm the kind of person, like, I don't mind spending money if it's worth it, but I hate wasting money. Like it is probably one of my biggest pet peeves is wasting money
like
on
the $25 entry just to go in and look at the one thing and then leave. Yeah.
Like paying for like there are certain things that for parking, like when you're already knowing, like, because a lot of times like we'll get free entry, but like free entry means I'm still spending $100, like no matter what. We joke because we go to San Diego during the summer and we're like, every time we leave the house, it costs $100, like literally every single time. So, but again, I don't mind spending a lot of money if it's worth it. So that's what I like try to find out when I go to these places is I'm like, hey, I'm going to go here. And like, if there are money traps, I'm going to warn you.
Yeah. So this is a great segue into the Play District.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited about this. So this is your business, and like you're alluding to, it's all about providing these kind of resources and information for moms so that they don't have to toil over all this research and trying to figure all this out themselves. They go to this one resource, and it has a lot of this info, like all the legwork done for them.
Yeah.
So tell us about Play District.
Yeah. So like how I got the idea was I was in San Diego and it was right after the pandemic and my husband was working remotely and we're like, and it's so hot here. I'm like, let's just can we go to San Diego for like 3 weeks? And he's like, yeah, I think we can figure that out. So I was like, great. And he's like, I don't even need to take vacation because I'll just work. And I was like, cool, I'll just take the kids and we'll go do stuff. And then I'm like, where do I take the kids? So I spent so much time trying to find mom bloggers, like, looking on Instagram, searching Yelp, and trying to find like family friendly restaurants. And we stay downtown, and to try to find family friendly places when you're downtown, you're like, okay. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive. And then I'm driving in a city I don't know, but I'm not going to take my kids to SeaWorld. I'm not going to, I'm not going to take them to these big grandiose, I'm not going to take them to McDonald's. Like, I'll tell you that right now. So I wanted to find like, where do the locals go? Like, where do they take their kids? And that's kind of where I was like, okay, instead of spending hours, like, why wouldn't there be a resource that like when I'm traveling to like Chicago with my kids and I can go to the Play District Chicago and find all the family friendly places to go, like specifically. So that's kind of how I kind of came up with it. And then,
and so this is a website.
It's a website
that people can go to look up this type of information. There's also newsletter that gives people updates on like seasonal things.
Yeah, we do seasonal. We actually send any family friendly events that are going on for the week in the newsletter. So you don't have to like sift through Facebook, like looking for anything you could take your kids to. It's all just sent to your inbox.
I love that.
Which is super easy.
I'll read that kind of stuff and then I'll be like, ooh, like that's happening 3 weeks from now. That sounds like something my family would be really into. So I'll just go and put it right on the calendar then. Yeah. So it just creates the appointment right then that nothing's going to get scheduled over. Cause I'm like, yes, I do want to go do this special one-off thing that's happening in town.
You can make an account on our website. You can like the event so that it comes up on your dashboard. So you can be reminded of it. And then same thing. So we have like, they're kind of like listings of different businesses, but what's great is like, say you're looking for something kind of specific. So we kind of wanted to bring marketing to the modern age and not have, there's so many blogger sites, and to find the information that you're trying to find
and all the ads you have to keep scrolling past.
So we promise never to have any Google ads or any kind of advertisements that aren't actual local places that we've connected with on our site. Or they're like parent related resources of some kind. But you can search by things that you couldn't find on Google. You couldn't find unless you were actually there. Like, can I bring my stroller? Are there changing tables in the restrooms? My kid has a sensory disorder. Like, would this be an appropriate place to be them? Or I have a 3 and a 5-year-old. Where should we go? I want to go to an attraction today, and be able to search by those kind of things that, you can't.
It's like the shopping filters on shopping websites, but applying it to all of this experiences.
But it's specifically that. And then what we try to do is, we're not a review site, so we won't tell you if the place is good or bad, because it's a different opinion of every single person. Every single family is different. So, and we never want, first of all, we never want a business listing on our site to hurt a business in any way, because someone could have a really bad experience there and give a really bad review, and that hurts that business. But maybe that business wasn't a good fit for that family, or their expectations were different than what they expected. So what we try to do is give you all the information so you can make the best decision for your family. So if like your family doesn't like, I don't know, a petting zoo, doesn't like the way animals are treated, you probably shouldn't go there. But you shouldn't like, bang the people that are running the petting zoo because you don't agree with it, So we try to make, give all that information. So if your kid's like, oh, my kid's a runner, well, you probably don't want to go to the park that isn't gated, thinking about those kind of things. So we try to, and we're constantly evolving, and we're always looking for parents' feedback on those kind of things of what do you look for when you go. So I constantly do polls on social media, like asking the parents, like, hey, when you go to a hotel, what do you look for? And I'm like, oh yeah, you probably want to know if there's a bathtub in there if you have a baby. That's something you can't search up for online very easily. Are cribs available to rent? Oh, I only want to go to a hotel with pools. You can search for all those different things. So it just is making it a lot easier, and I hope we can open them in more places. More people get to do it.
Cool. So you have a team, you have a lot of mom contributors that work to compile this information for you. What are the locations currently that you have these in?
So we're here in Tucson, and then I have about a team of about 9 moms here. So, and they're all over, they're all different sizes, all different ethnicities. So we're just kind of like we're trying to represent every single kind of family that we can. And then we're also in Phoenix, and Phoenix just kind of soft launched. I'm going to say soft launched in August. So we're growing that and it's going really, really well. They're doing like a lot of fun play dates in Phoenix. So my girl Courtney up there is doing an amazing job. Up there, and then we're gonna open in San Diego, so it's gonna come full circle soon.
Yep.
So I'm hoping spring. So I already have a couple people on my team in San Diego, so I'm already starting to like ramp it up there.
And these are paid positions that the other moms do, or they contribute and volunteer?
So the contributors they get like free access to experiences to document.
Which if they're already paying for all these museum memberships and all these things anyways,
like you don't have to have a lot of experience. Like we're not having you write, you don't have to enter a writing sample like a lot of contributors do because we're not a blogging site. So we just want you to go out and experience your city and document it. So there's a ton of people that are already doing that out there, you know, and it's like, hey, and I tell, you know, my contributors all the time, hey, like if there's somewhere you want to go, like let me know. And then I could give the place a heads up and be like, hey, we want to come there.
Yeah.
And then they can give you free access. Or if you want to go to a place for a restaurant, I can contact them and be like, hey, can you comp their dinner? They're going to, you know, create some content for you. So like right now for the holiday time, there's like a ton of events and I got them tickets to like a bunch of events that they want to go to. I'm like, who wants to go to this? Who wants to go to that? So it's really fun to like give back to them. And then we're also just kind of like a community of moms that, you know, we do happy hours together and you know, we're friends or we'll be like, hey, we're going to this event or, hey, who wants to meet at the park? So we're kind of like, and then we could take content together. So it's really fun. And then there's a content team in Phoenix as well. So it's just, it's a great way to, and then, so the district directors like myself and Courtney do make money and they make money from getting businesses to sign up for the website and sell advertising. We never want people, we want it to be a free resource. You know, we'll never charge anybody for it. Even if, you know, we have plans to make it an app later and stuff, but I'm never going to charge for it.
Right. So just want it accessible for all the moms out there. So for everybody who's listening right now, or in the future, hello future.
Yeah.
We're talking to you from the past. Yeah. And they are like, oh my gosh, I'm already doing this in my city. I could totally be contributing to this. What is the best way that they can become part of your team?
Yeah. So, you can email me directly at katie@theplaydistrict.com. What's really great about if you're interested in actually heading up a district, and it could be right now, like I'm ready to go wherever we want to go. It's a great opportunity to be able to explore your city and, you know, do something that you love or that you're already doing, and then you can actually get paid for it, but you're not neglecting your kids. And that's kind of why I started the company. Is like, you know, being a stay-at-home mom is the most rewarding experience of my life. And I love being a mom, but I know I could be so much more. Like I can do so much more with my life, and I can show my kids I can do so much more.
Yes. And having an identity besides just mom.
Right. Like when I talk to people, it's not like I'm just talking about my kids. I can talk about myself and like my own self-worth. And I think, you know, it's a great opportunity, especially if you love being a part of your community, and you support these small businesses too that are trying to reach these families, and you help them. Like it is the most rewarding job, you know, even personally and, you know, professionally, that I get to, you know, help these businesses. You know, what I do helps them make money, which is the best part about it. So, I mean, it is kind of a unique position because it's like a commission-based position. So it's like whatever you put into it, you get out of it. But the resource will sell itself. Like it's
always going to be needed.
It's always going to be needed.
And it's always changing because this place closes, but this place opens. And this has a seasonal event.
And we're like constantly updating the website. Like we're already talking about like AI integrations. And so it's not going to be like, okay, here's your website and we're done. Like, I mean, we have big plans for the whole company. So I'm really excited. And, you know, I think if you're looking for something that gives you that really good balance of like work and life, and you don't want to go back to that 9-to-5 job, but you you want to do something, but you're like, I don't really know what I'm good at. And it's like, if you're good at spending time with your kids, you know, I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
It's like whenever you're young and you just love traveling so much and you're like, I just need a job that pays me to travel and pays me to go to all these places. Right.
Exactly.
Well, this is basically that, but for your mom adventure life. And so it's like, you just need, if you're saying like, oh, I wish I just had something that would incentivize or reward me to go do fun stuff with my kids.
Right.
Well, here you go. So,
and you get kind of more of a backing than like, I'm an influencer, you know,
starting from scratch.
You're like, you have this whole media company that's backing you. So when you approach businesses, you're like, I'm a media company. I'm not like a solo, because it's like, we want to see you do really well. And it's not just all about self-gain. And I think, you know, that's what businesses are seeing right now is that, you know, there's a lot of influencers out there. There's a lot of people that are out there that just want the free stuff. And it's like, no, we want to see you do well. We want to create something for you so you can do really, really well. So
it's all about nurturing the relationship with your kids and with yourself.
Yeah.
On your journey, not just,
Yeah. And our kids love it so much. Like, I'm like, when we go to work, it's like, we're going to go on a fun adventure in our city. And I'm like, oh, they have this new ice cream flavor at this place. We got to go try it. And so it's been great for me because, you know, I've talked about being a homebody and it's really gotten us to go out and do things that maybe we wouldn't have done. And I think my circle members really, we call them my circle members, are my content creators. They really love it too. Cause they're like, hey, what do you need content for? And I'm like, hey, I heard about this place, the Grapevine. You want to go check it out? And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sending me to that place. It was amazing. Yeah. So thinking about, you know,
for me, it's always like, oh, there's that thing. And I always think it's going to be crowded. I'm not going to be able to park.
Right.
The kids are going to be hungry. But then after I go, I'm like, I'm so glad I went.
Yeah.
I always write in my gratitude journal later, like,
never regret doing those things. Yeah, I know. That's my thing too. Cause I'm like, oh, we should just stay home. And I'm like, no, if you go, so it kind of like forces you, it gives you that like, that little, and then if it sucks, now you know it sucks, you know?
Yes. I mean, there's definitely some places that were not what we expected. Like we saw pictures, we saw reviews, and then we're expecting something and we get there and we're like, there's a pile of dirt here. Like, where's the rest of it?
That is the problem with like social media. So like when we take videos and stuff, we try to give people like a really good overview of what a place looks like to have like a realistic expectation. Like, I love filming when like I go into a place and then I pan around and like show what the place looks like.
Showing like, the bathroom.
You can see is and like, oh, okay. So that's what that looks like. Cause a lot of places like just show you like the really
these wide angle views
snippets
of the back wall. Yeah.
So, I mean, and I love, you know, when people come to me and they're like, oh, you know, I saw that place and I was afraid to go, but then I saw your video and then I was, and I think
I convinced them.
I convinced them. And I think that's a problem with like stay-at-home moms is you're just kind of anxious of like, how is my kid gonna act? And you know,
you've done the meltdowns and it can be challenging. And we've had to leave restaurants, like for a good while when our kids were younger. Especially my middle child, he would just get so overwhelmed if the restaurant was really noisy, or if it was like really strong smells or whatever. So we would order and I would say, I need to pay right now in case we need to leave early.
Yeah.
And so I would just pay ahead of time. And I would sometimes, if I was just like, which you mentioned about not taking kids anywhere after school, I realized that where it's like, if I do take them somewhere after school, I always order it to go.
Yeah.
And then we can sit and eat our to-go boxes. But then if it's not working, then it's like, okay, put it right back in the to-go box. Let's leave.
Yeah.
We're going to continue this at home.
Oh yeah.
And so I've learned those kind of tricks, but it's like where you start to think like that every time you go somewhere, it's going to be that negative version. So it scares you from even wanting to go at all. But then there's sometimes your kids just have the best time.
Yeah.
It's noisy, it's smelly, and they still have fun.
Yeah.
Like all those triggers that you think they're going to have, it doesn't faze them.
Well, and I think that's like the big thing about, you know, restaurants specifically. And that's why we included those on our website, because like, I think that's where we get the most anxiety. And what I found is very interesting is that if a restaurant is family friendly, they won't advertise it because they don't want to advertise that it's family friendly
And
because
scare away the people
scare away
are like,
all the
oh,
people. So like,
am I going to have yelling kids next to me?
exactly. So we
Yeah.
give them an avenue to just advertise to the families.
Yeah.
And so like the single date night kids, cause like we like to go out to nice restaurant. Like we like to have a nice dinner. And if our kids can be included, but like, I don't also want to be embarrassed to bring my kids if my kids, if they don't have a kids menu and they're like, oh, well, we have this, this, and this. And the kids are like, oh, I don't know. But like, I've also found some really nice restaurants that like bring the kids appetizers and like they have the coloring book and they have the whole thing and they have really good choices for food.
Play with dough and then they cook it. Like that stuff.
Experiences like that, but they're not going to advertise that stuff. So we give them the kind of avenue and you can find that stuff through us. So you're not embarrassed to take your kids out. Because families spend a lot of money. Like we want to go out to dinner. We don't want to cook all the time. Like
it's like me and my youngest. If we go to lunch, it's $40.
Yeah.
If I go with my husband, it's the same. So it's like we go on date night. It's the same as me and my kid going to lunch because I end up like buying him a milk, which they charge me $3 for. It's like I could have bought a whole gallon for that, but whatever.
But I think for like visiting families, because you're eating out the whole time.
You are, You're not gonna be cooking in a hotel.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be snacking or whatever, but I think if you can find those kind of options, really helps.
Yes. Yeah. Like the kids eat free buffet and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So good. I love that you have created this resource for moms. I love that you are offering an avenue for moms to contribute to it.
Yeah.
That is so cool. All right. So where's my bag? We can plug it.
Give her a little swag bag.
So the Play District is Katie's business. Everybody go look it up. You are on all the socials. They can follow along on there.
Yeah, we have, so you can go visit us at theplaydistrict.com. We also have, we have our main social account, which is _play_district. It will soon be mine once my trademark comes through. And then without any underscores. And then we also have
that's your social handle.
Yeah. So that's on Instagram.
Okay.
And then we have Instagram specific locations. So if you want to see like specifically Tucson, specifically Phoenix, or specifically San Diego, you can search the Play District, whatever. I think we also have an Atlanta account. If anybody in Atlanta wants to start it, I would love to start in Atlanta.
I know people in Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm like, I would love to start in Atlanta. I would love to start one in Atlanta.
Wink, wink,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then we also have a TikTok, but our TikTok is like a culmination of all our different locations. So it's just one main. Because that was I wanted like a universal place where you could like discover new places.
Like the brand of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I didn't want my district directors to have to like update 15 different social media platforms. So they also have Facebook too.
Okay. Awesome. This is so exciting. I'm so glad you're doing this. This is very cool.
I know. I'm really excited about it.
So cool. Very cool. All right. Well, let me see here. Are there any other things I wanted to ask you? This is so fun.
I know. I love it. I'm like, I'll be back next week. No.
Yeah, I know. On the Katie and Brenda show. We're just gonna drink our coffee.
What are we doing today? Guess what's in my cup?
I know. What beverage am I on today? Right now I'm drinking my mud water.
Mine's just water.
Yours is just water.
Just water.
You already had your 2 coffees?
I had 2 coffees and 2 teas already this morning. And
what kind of tea did you do?
Oh, what did I do? I did chai this morning.
It's a good time of year for chai.
Just chai. Yeah, it is a good time of year. I'm kind of like seasonal with my drinks too.
I am too. Yeah.
Like
I even have seasonal cups. So my mud water always goes in this because it stains everything.
Oh yeah. Mine does too. Yeah.
So that always goes in here. But then I seriously have like a springtime ceramic mug of wintertime.
Like I have like 3 beverages on my desk.
Yep.
Like,
well, do you see how many cups are surrounding us right now?
I literally have to have like a hot one, a cold one. Like this one's always filled. This is the security water bottle.
Yep.
I left it 2 places yesterday. That's how like mom brain I was. And then hot beverages like constantly throughout the day.
I love hot beverages.
Yeah, me too.
Hot water with lemon. That's like my go-to.
Oh yeah.
That's what I get at restaurants.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because the water's so cold.
Oh,
I can't have ice water.
Oh, I love ice water.
My husband loves the ice crunch.
Oh, me too. I'm a big ice person. Like when I went to Europe and they didn't have any ice, I was like, what is this place?
Yeah. I'm like, can I have the room temperature, please?
Oh, then you love Europe water.
I know.
I'm like, nope. I'm like, there's no ice anywhere. I didn't know.
Scoop it out of the well.
I didn't know. And I'm like, I don't have a place for a nugget ice maker, but I want one.
Yeah, the like countertop.
Yeah.
Thing.
Anytime
when we got our
place has a
fridge,
good ice, I'm like,
when we
I'm
had
gonna
to
get
replace
ice.
our fridge, that was my husband's only request. He said, can you please pick the one that never runs out of ice and it never jams up?
Yeah.
And so this one had the best reviews for ice maker.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny. It's so good. And it's so hefty that it actually freezes everything that's nearby it.
Gosh.
So I used to put the eggs right under it.
Yeah.
It's this little small area, but
and then they
kept freezing all my eggs.
No, mine makes round ice cubes. Like
Sonic.
Yeah. Like round. They're like big round ice balls. Like this.
Oh, like
it's
mixology.
It's called like gourmet ice. I mean,
Yes.
I just put it in my iced tea or my like iced lattes or something.
Oh,
I'm not like a
nice.
hard, like, I don't just sip on hard liquor with a big ball in it or anything, which is probably why they have it.
This and And in here, there's this beautiful ice sculpture happening. Oh, I love it. All right. Well, thank you everybody who joined us today. And if you're in the future, I'm so glad you're here also. I can't wait. We're gonna have to do this again. This was so fun.
If you want to find my personal account, it's at Girl Turns Mom on Instagram.
Good one.
Because that's where I share just like mom life.
Yes.
Entrepreneurial stuff.
Like when you were tiling your bathroom all by yourself.
Done that in so long.
And we were in the middle of doing ours. Yeah. Which is why I was like, what?
I did everything by myself. I love do-it-yourself projects. So
amazing. Okay. Also
saved in my highlights.
We didn't even mention how, so you had this dog collar. When you started doing this, you did not even know how to sew. You taught yourself how to sew because you wanted to make these.
Yeah, you can, by the way, you can learn how to do every single thing on the internet.
Yes.
Like you really can. Like
YouTube Academy.
You don't need to hire. I mean, you can hire because, you know, if it doesn't fill your cup, but if you want to learn how to do something,
want to do anything.
You can figure out how to do anything. Like, and
what's a new thing that you're doing right now?
Oh gosh, I really want to take up like crocheting, like people crocheting those little animals. That's what I asked for Christmas.
Like the 3D
a little,
ones?
The little stuffed animal. I think that would be super fun. I mean, I love doing like, the problem is I just don't have time to do those kind of things. What am I learning how to do now? I really want to make a new mantle for my fireplace. But I had to put a headboard together later today.
Ooh, so that's on the list. There you go.
So I don't like to, my dad was like a big do-it-yourselfer. So he was like, oh, I want a third bathroom. So he built a third bathroom kind of guy. So I mean, he didn't really take the time to teach me how to do it, but it kind of
osmosis.
But it kind of gave me the example of like, hey, if you want to do this, figure it out. And we fix every single thing in our house. My husband has become very handy because he's just like, well, I'm not going to hire someone to do this. I can probably figure it out. I mean, it takes 4 hours, but he can figure it out.
But then the next time it takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So now he knows like he mounted one of our TVs with my dad, and now he knows how to mount another TV in the other room without him. So,
and then learning to mount that thing also, then you use that for the other areas. Like it really does. I'm such a doer also. Like I love gardening, and I really wanted to expand a bunch of my plants to areas that did not already have irrigation. So I'm just going to figure out how to do the irrigation and tee off and add the little things and figure out, this little tiny one is 2 gallons per hour and this one's 4 gallons per hour. And exactly.
And for me, if it has like a really good outcome, like when I redid my bathroom, it was like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this 5 years ago?
Because you get to reap the rewards.
You get to reap the rewards. And I think it's like, it's a home ownership thing. Like when you redo stuff in your house. I mean, my husband told me I had to pause on doing the do-it-yourself projects because he's like, you're going to keep doing this. It's not going to add any more value to our house. But I'm like, but it's going to make our house more awesome. So in the current housing market, now he's like, well, we're going to probably be here for a little longer. So you can keep doing
we always have to remind ourselves, right? Like all these things I want to do. Like I want to put in these built-in shelves in here. And add some stuff to really just make it nice for us. And so I do think about it from like, how will this improve the value? But also it's like, who is this imaginary person that I'm improving the value for?
Right.
I'm not building this house. I'm not making my room additions for some future person that's going to live here. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever. It's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I have some like things in my office. I still need my office is my dining room. So I can't do too much to it because I host Thanksgiving every year.
Yeah.
So I have to like morph it to be just like a dining room. So I can't do too much with it, but I had to morph it from a manufacturing facility to like my current
with your
desk.
e-commerce.
Yeah, to like my current desk and then going from there. So and now I have like a whole computer, like it's different. Like I went from a product-based business to like a fully online-based business. So now like my computer setup's a lot better and stuff like that. So.
We were talking about this before we even started broadcasting here, was like the evolution of
where you've moved,
the offices in your own house and where your desks are.
Yeah.
And so I still have like my original desk is still in my son's room and I still have some like the staples and stuff.
Yeah. My goal is to make my husband retire so I can get my office back.
And take that one. Yeah.
And take that one.
So that's something that we had like kind of discussed this on our own before the call started, was the dynamic of working, having both of you guys working from home. And you were just, we were expressing just how much we love it.
Yeah.
Like, my husband works here too. He's running his own business or 3 businesses. And then now I'm doing my own thing. And I have my office like right next to his studio, and you have your stuff going on at home and your husband works remotely.
Yeah.
He does not own his own business, but he does work remotely for the other company.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you like, I love how you were talking about like the little like,
just
hangouts.
like little meetups throughout the day. And, you know, I mean, when he asked me what's for lunch, that's a little bit annoying.
Like whatever you make yourself.
Like, well, there's stuff in the fridge. You could go figure it out. But like, you know, I'm like, hey, I made tea. Do you want tea? Oh yeah, that's good. So, it's nice to like have those check-ins. Or for me, it's nice because like if I need to ask him a question, he's right there. Or if I'm busy and I'm like, we try to be like, hey, I have this meeting. Can you go cover? That's the like the amazing thing about remote
baton
working.
passing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if I can't make it to do something, like I know he can go. Like if I can't, I'm not going to make it home to pick up the kids. Can you go pick up the kids? Like usually he can
That's awesome.
figure it out. So like the balance between that has been really nice. And he gets to experience the kids just as much as I do. He gets to see them in the morning. We were joking because he used to go in the office and he worked 45 minutes away, that he would come like during the wintertime, like what it is now, he would leave when it was dark and he'd come home when it was dark.
Yeah.
And how hard that was on him. So, I mean, companies out there, like keep the remote working going.
Yeah.
Because I mean, just from like the life balance, like we always kind of joke that the pandemic was such a blessing to our family because now my husband works from home for the most part. So, and he got to experience the childhood that he never got to experience with my oldest. So, it's been really nice. So I love working with my husband and he wants to come work for me. So I'm trying, he's like, just work.
You're trying to retire him?
I am.
So you can hire him?
He's like really trying to be a good stay-at-home dad. I mean, he's awesome, but he's like, look I made the lunches. I did all the things. And I was like, it's going really good. And he's like, I'm ready to retire. Let's go.
Yeah. My husband does the lunches also. That's a huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does the morning while I get ready, or at least like have my me time.
The balancing. Like, I think, I know it's hard, you know, if somebody is the primary, you know, caregiver of the family, but I still think like even small things like making lunches. My husband does like bath time, nighttime.
It's not even a standard. Like in our house, it's not always that way.
Oh,
like by summertime, it's completely different.
Yeah.
By next year, it's going to be different.
It just depends on the day too.
Really
like if I'm like,
he
hey, I have
a lot for business. So then there's weeks that he's completely gone and
then it's everything.
Yeah. Yes. But
and then when he comes home, you're like, bye, see you later.
I always think I'm going to do that. But then this funny thing happens where when he gets back from a business trip, then I'm like, oh, he must be tired from this business trip. He needs transition time.
Right.
But if I'm
so nice, we're so nice.
I've been doing this thing. So now I've been doing a lot of my own business travel.
Yeah.
I've been going to lots of conferences and retreats and just lots of business things like speaking opportunities and stuff like that. And so now it's funny because then it's like when my husband gets home from one of his business travels, and it's like, dad needs transition time because he hasn't been in the flow of the household. So everybody like, don't ask him for stuff.
Yeah.
But then it's like, when I go on my business trip, it's
you're like thank God mom's home.
Doesn't matter if I get home. Actually, no, he's a really good Mr. Mom, but it's like, but there's no transition time for me.
Yeah.
So I have learned that it's like, whatever time my flight gets home, I'm back on.
Yeah.
Like if I land at 11 a.m.,
You're
I'm
back
doing
in the
school
mode.
pickup that afternoon. And so I have learned with my own bookings that if I'm going to need the buffer time, I have to just fly a day later.
Yeah.
So that I get that buffer time still on that location. So that's a trick for
Aren't
anybody who
these
does
trips
that.
So like I went to like
It
my first
is.
like mom conference type thing this past May, and it was like the most refreshing thing to see.
It really is.
To see especially like all these moms and like this, I'm like, there's no men conferences that they host, by the way.
Oh, really?
Like, do you notice that there's no conferences that are like, this is a men's conference,
Men's only thing.
a men's only thing?
Well, I don't think they
And
have
I
to say
wonder
that because
why.
there's already so many that just by default
But
are.
it happened, but they're like,
I used to work in finance.
yeah,
There was 3
for
women
sure.
at that and 500 men.
But
Yeah.
they don't make like specifically men's only conferences. And I was like, do you think like men are having, I was just
A
like,
moment.
no, but I was just like thinking when I was at this conference, I'm like, do you think like men have these kind of conversations and this like strategic like thinking? Like, do you think they have conversation about balancing work life and family life?
Well, I don't know about at a conference, but this is definitely something that my husband
Oh, that's good.
coaches on. Is his whole thing is
I think it needs to happen
Yeah.
more is what I'm
is
saying.
his whole thing
Yeah.
is like, especially for entrepreneurial men,
Yeah.
where you feel like breadwinner and you gotta, I mean, like I like
It's so much pressure.
for
Yeah.
women who are entrepreneurs, you still end up doing mom stuff.
Right.
But for a lot of dads who are entrepreneurs, they just completely step out of personal life
Yeah.
and go full-fledged into this business identity and this, like they have to like achieve. And, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a lot more of that hustle. My husband is making faces at us through the window. So great. Which is funny that he went through the side door to
I
not
know.
disturb us, only to
He should have just come through the white door.
he should just came over here. So yeah, it's just like I think it's like sometimes men can get where they're so focused
Yeah.
on that business that they put the blinders on. Whereas women, you know, for better or for worse, we get sucked back into
Right.
all this other personal life and mom life and the things around the household. And so it's good and it's bad. But for men, I think it can be hard because it's easy for them to just like, boop, like,
Yeah.
this is being handled by my
They
partner.
have tunnel vision.
Also, yeah, but
Yeah.
then they also, I think they can get so sucked into all their business goals and what they're working on that they don't have the balance anymore. And so that actually is something that my husband teaches a lot of, is like, own your business, own your life.
Yeah.
Don't let your business own you. And so have your hobbies, have the things you do with your kids. And so he is really good about, I only work this amount. He didn't used to be, but he is now. Like, I only work this amount of time. I'm going to work 4 days and I'm done at 4 so I can hang out with kids if I want to. And he's trying to teach the other, digital marketing agency owners out there, like, let's like do the thing. Good. Go to your kids' baseball game.
Yeah.
Go be in scouts.
It's
and
so important.
Yeah,
like,
it really is.
Only, I like it can't be your life. Like, your life is so diverse and there's so many different parts of it. And this is one life you live. Like, this only happens.
People just think that, oh, as soon as I do this, then I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not. You're never going to get there.
You're at.
Like, you're never here. Yeah. So figure out how to live those some days today. Like, what's on your someday list?
Yeah.
Like, how do you fit it in right now?
Yeah.
Make it happen. Schedule it. That's the biggest thing of all. Just put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
And then if it's like going somewhere, buy the flight.
Yeah.
So then you can't back out of it.
Yeah.
Book the reservation.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's there. It's like, it's happening. And then you're just like, okay, now you just count down to it.
Like, when you talk about stuff, like if you put it on a podcast or you put it in a reel, it's like, I'm putting it out there. Like, I better make this happen. Like, it's almost like, I don't know if I like completely believe in manifestation, because I think you have to do the work to accomplish anything.
Yeah.
But you can't just like say it and it happens. But I think like putting it out there and being like, oh, okay, now I said that. Now I got to do that. Yeah. You know, I can't say like,
spring up, but it's like, as soon as you say it, then it starts making you more aware of all these little opportunities that get you towards it.
Absolutely.
And then you act on those.
Yeah.
And so it really does manifest it in that way where it just starts making you more aware. Yeah. Of all the opportunities, like this little door. Okay. Open it. Yeah, exactly. So smart. Well,
all right, go on forever.
Yeah. My husband's gonna come back from lunch, be like, yes, he's still talking, and then he's probably gonna moon us or something through the window, because that's probably something he would do.
Awesome.
All right. Well, this has been so amazing, so fun.
good.
And
Thanks for having me. This has been great. I love
this is
it.
so fun. The best. All right, everybody go find Katie, the Play District, Girl Turns Mom
Yep.
for her personal stuff. Everybody go follow her. She's amazing.
Thank you guys.
Go cheer her on. If you want to be on her team, reach out to her.
Yes. Please.
Yeah. And then pretty soon, I mean, who's ever listening to this 2 years from now, there's probably like 80 cities that Play District is in by now. So it'll have grown so much by then. So you can just look it up in wherever you're vacationing and wherever you live. And it's gonna be such a great resource. So I'm so excited for you.
Yay, thank you so much.
All right. I'm gonna do this like really awkward way to turn this off because I have no like buttons or anything to click it. So
Bye guys.
bye. Oh, I dropped my phone.